The way drop-down list combo boxes normally work is you press the drop-down arrow, make a selection, and it fills in the text box. And in the case of this, we have a number associated with it, so it's like a table that's used for symbolic values in a database. Instead of storing the whole line comic book adaptation in every record, you just store a 9 and then have a separate table that's a lookup table that looks up 9 and knows that it's comic book adaptation. In fact, in displaying, you can just do a join in SQL in order to make one big record that has all the symbolic records or symbolic values included. There may come a time when you want to do a reverse combo box though. You want to basically type something in the text box and then through some event add it to the list. And I actually experimented with a number of types of events to do this. For instance, with this, if you type in science, I know I can get this, science fiction, and you press the down arrow, it adds it to the list box, and then it gives it a symbolic value of 0 if you're going to do a table lookup type thing. In fact, I'd probably add 1 to that because 0 isn't a very good value. Let's say mystery is the next one. Adds it to the list and then gives it the symbolic value 1, which of course is just the index within the list. So we're generating both symbolic values and code values by typing into the text box and pressing on the down arrow. As I said, in order to create this reverse combo box, I looked at several events. First one was text update and also text changed, and both of these have the same result. What happens is it puts every character you type in into the list box. For instance, if we uncomment out this line and then comment out all the code in the click event, which is clicking on the down arrow, and compile and run this, and start to type in science fiction, and then press on the down arrow, whoa, every character press we got a new addition to the list box. Definitely not what we want. And then another thing I attempted was enter, because I thought enter would be the pressing the enter key, but in fact it was when the cursor enters the text box. So in a way this works if you type something in, leave it, and click back, but the trouble with that is when you first click into the text box, it puts an empty value into the text box. So you're endlessly getting empty values along with the values you want. So enter doesn't work either. It turns out the click event is probably the best event to go with if you want to do a reverse combo box. Of course, there's a couple gotchas with the click event as well, which is why I have this if statement. If we comment out the if statement, which says if ComboBox input.text is not equal to a null string, so if there's nothing in the text box, or if the contents of the list box, which we specify here, is not already in the list box, which we find out with the find string exact method of the combo box. So if this is equal to -1, what's in the text box isn't already in the list. And if this is not equal to a null string, then the text box isn't empty. And the reason we have to check for those two conditions, well, I can show you what it is by commenting out the if. We basically compile and run this, and then if there's nothing in the text box, which is the first condition that we check that isn't happening. And we click down here. Basically what we've done is add a blank entry. So now if I type in mystery, this is a symbolic value of 1 because the first entry is an empty value. And if I click that again, I'll get another empty value underneath. So if I type in science fiction, we now have 2 empty values and 2 regular values. Empty value in fact, I'm adding all kinds of empty values now. So this is why we need those 2 conditions. Oh, the other reason is if you want to type in mystery again, and we'll now add that twice, so we'll have 2 different symbolic values for mystery. In fact, 3. In fact, one of the main reasons you need to check on that is if you go down and select a value and then do the list box down again, it'll add the values you selected to the list. So selecting a value and then doing the drop down list a second time will create 2 identical entries in the list box. So clearly we need to check for these 2 conditions. So uncomment out these if statements with Control EU to uncomment. Actually with this one we could probably just backspace. And these problems go away. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video and learned a lot, and I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe.